You've lived a great life and done well for yourself. But what mark will you leave on the world? How will you inspire future generations? Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand have helped thousands of people answer exactly those questions. If you've ever wondered, what will be my legacy? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Stan and Katie Beth.
Welcome back to the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast with your hosts, Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. Our guest today is one of the co-founders of Altitude Water, Jeff Szur. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
It's such an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So for our listeners who may not have ever heard, and this may be a lot of people who may not have heard of atmospheric water generators, tell us what they are and then kind of your story and what inspired you to start Altitude Water.
Sure. So a lot of people haven't heard of atmospheric water generators. And the unique thing about our technology is where bottled water and water has been such in the news, and 99.9% of that water is taken from the groundwater. Atmospheric water generators tap into the water cycle, our natural cycle in the earth that has basically cleaned and cleansed the water since the earth was formed. So anytime that water goes from a gas form to a liquid form, it's pure. And, we have the same amount of water on this planet as when it was formed. No one's making water. It's either in one of three forms: liquid, gas, or a solid. And through that water cycle, we capture it out of the air. So I call it almost like a dehumidifier on steroids. So everyone knows what a dehumidifier is, and you wouldn't think that water is pure, but I wouldn't have people drink from a dehumidifier, because what we do is we coat the coils with a food grade coating. So our water, when we capture it, never touches any metal, any solder, or anything like that. And then because of the properties of water, it's, you think about how you distill water, it's distilled water. There is, basically no total dissolved solids in the water when it's formed. So in our machines, we add minerals in order to raise the pH and have alkaline water. So we add calcium and magnesiums. So what I like to say is what all those filters, reverse osmosis, is trying to take out of the water is never in our water. And we do a reverse, where one of our filters is actually putting things into the water so that you have a higher pH as well as minerals in your water. So
that is really unique. So I have so many questions about this. There are so many cool applications for this. Obviously, one is that this has a huge positive impact on the environment because it reduces the need for a lot of plastic. And I know plastic is a huge deal we're talking about. So tell us a little bit about that. Right.
So the unique thing about water as well is it's very heavy and, very carbon intensive to ship it, because, 1 gallon of water weighs 8.33 pounds. When you can and then you have to ship it, right? So you have to dispense that water. So you either do it through aquifers and our municipal, which has been polluted, and they're much older, and we have lead pipes, and we can go on to that. But the plastics, we're making water at the source. So whether it's your home, whether it's your office, wherever you are, you can just take a reusable bottle, go to our machine, fill it up. You can use a glass to have it. So those are the things now. Plastic has just infiltrated our environment, and it's one of those things that this past year, all these studies came out about nanoplastics, and because plastic doesn't go away, it just breaks down into smaller particles. And so we really are creating our own environmental catastrophe by continuing to use plastics in all that we do. I like to say bottled water, when Not you, Katie, because you're much younger than us, but Stan and I used to drink water out of a garden hose, right? That, we
Did, yep.
play out in the outside and just go to the garden hose and drink it. And so the bottled water industry did a great job of informing the public on the difficulties now of doing that, because we went for decades of the engineer's creed: the solution to pollution is dilution. Take all of this nasty chemicals and throw it in a large body of water and dilute it down. But you keep doing that, eventually it's saturating it. So they did a great job of informing us that the water that we were drinking wasn't healthy, but they failed to tell us that they were putting it in a bottle that breaks down because it sits in sunlight. I remember when Sheryl Crow, way back when, got breast cancer, and she attributed it to the warm bottles of water that she kept in her car. She didn't want to waste it, and everyone lambasted her. And I was sitting there in developing this technology, and I said the same thing. When I send salespeople out, I tell them to go buy a case of bottled water, put it out in the sun for 3 weeks, keep it sealed. Just put it out in the sun for 3 weeks, and your total dissolved solids will go from 100 to 150 to over 300. Now, I'm not a smart man, but if the bottle's sealed and there's nothing going into that bottle, and the only thing it's touching is plastic, the only thing that could be breaking down is plastic. And, I was, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, but you're dealing with three of the largest conglomerates, Coke, Pepsi, and Nestle. So, I found it interesting this past year, and sort of, a little vindicated, because all of a sudden when Columbia University came out with that study showing how much nanoplastics we have in our water, and then all of a sudden 8 other studies came out, and I'm thinking to myself, did they all just study at the same time, or once the dam was broke, they all rushed to show something that they already knew? And we're now seeing nanoplastics in the brain, and again, just like the water cycle, our life cycle, it touches all the food we eat, it touches the fish. We have islands in the Pacific Ocean the size of Texas of just plastic breaking down. So, that's, Katie, you're so on point. The fact that bottled water and the plastic is really hurting our environment. So we encourage people, and even with me, it takes a while. I end up leaving these a couple places because I forget I have to bring a bottle around. It goes to the old. It's easier to establish good habits than try and change bad ones, right? So if we can get our kids to realize that carrying one of these around instead of grabbing a plastic bottle of water, we don't inherit the earth from our grandparents. We hold it and try and save it for our grandchildren, right? So you're so on point with that.
It's interesting kind of too to see sort of the evolution of how it's gone, because you guys were as you said, the water hose generation. Then I would say my generation, certainly, and I'm pushing 40, we were the plastic bottle generation. Yeah. I grew up with Sunny D in plastic bottles, Sprite, Pepsi, Coke, water in plastic bottles. Growing up, we would crack a plastic bottle, drink it, and then it never crossed our minds to refill it. We'd open up a new bottle of water and drink the new one. So definitely grew up in the plastic bottle generation. Now I am pleased to say that things I think are starting to kind of slowly turn back a little bit. We have kids all the way from an 11th grader down to a kindergartner, and all of them have to carry like stainless steel water bottles and things at school where they refill them. The fountains there built for the water bottles. So that has been kind of a great trend that I've seen just in, I would say, kind of in the post-COVID world. I feel like those fountains really kind of made an emergence, which was huge, and just drinking water in general. So I love the reduction of plastic. When you look at the studies on the damaging effects on our environment and on human bodies, I think it's great. Anything we can do to sort of move away from that constant use of plastic in everything is certainly a good thing. And there are other great things about these systems as well. So not only is it helping the environment, but tell us about how this can be helpful in disaster situations. And I know you guys have helped in a lot of different emergencies. What are the benefits of using one of these in a disaster situation?
Yeah, that has been really, really gratifying to us. It's something when we started in this, we always knew, and it was difficult to get to that point. I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. It's my factory. They're opening. We had some shipments going out. But again, if what happens in a disaster? You need water right away, right? Whether it's a hurricane where there's water everywhere, but not a drop to drink because all this flooding and it's overtaking the municipal and the pumps don't work. And then what you have to do is be able to provide water, but you're not being able to purify it. And to, wildfires where everything has been wiped out, or tornadoes. And, you know, we've worked with the Red Cross, we've worked with a large number of disaster relief as well as charitable organizations. And again, because of water's bulkiness, it takes up 70% of the warehouse space, and it takes about 70% of the volunteers to distribute water. Whereas if you take one of our machines, so say one of our machines weighs 1,000 gallons, 8.33 divided into that, you're talking about that same weight of bottled water versus you have to keep every day bringing that same amount of water in. Whereas if you have our machine there that is making 350 gallons a day, well, wow, you don't have the logistics issues. You don't have the carbon footprint of continuing to ship it in. You don't have the plastic catastrophe. So it really is, to me, and has always been one of the huge benefits of our technology. And it was something that I really felt was important. Again, you're dealing with an industry, the disaster relief industry, that is one of the most highly carbon imprinted industries in the world. And it makes sense. We've got to get them what they need as quickly as possible, right? So, a lot of people are like, well, we want to stay with the standard operating procedure. We know that bottled water works. We know that a truck's coming in and we don't. So we had to have some forward-thinking partners, some people who have used our machines over a number of years in their homes and say, you know what, Jeff, you're absolutely right. Why isn't this done? And actually come up with the money through their charities, donate their money, get the write-off, do the charity to showcase this. And our first one that was in a disaster situation was in the Maui wildfires. That was funded by Noah's Ark Foundation, which is a charitable organization of Joachim Noah, Yannick Noah, Cecilia Rode, Yannick's ex-wife and mother of Joachim. And they lived in Maui. They live in Maui. Joachim lives in Miami, but he has a house in Maui, but his mom lives in Maui. And they were like, no, this makes all the sense in the world. And so they allowed us to showcase what we believe to be true, which is will be a huge benefit to the organizations that have to go through the logistics. Because every disaster is different. Everyone has its different challenges. And when you can just know that a machine is there and it's going to provide this amount of water for the people in need, and not only that, it creates a hub, right, where people can come together, get their water, and the first ones we did with generators because we had to build them so quickly. We didn't want to integrate the solar, but now the most recent ones, through our experience and through our partners, we now have disaster relief trailers that can provide electricity, communication, cell phone, and water. So it's now we're creating a community in an area that's been devastated. So you're not only feeding the flesh and the physical needs, but you're feeding the spiritual needs. And, this last one up in Asheville, which was just apocalyptic. I mean, a hurricane in Asheville, it's like staying like you in Arkansas, right? I'm in Arkansas, I expect tornadoes. I don't expect a hurricane. It was absolutely crazy. But through some of the partners that we work with in Maui, the charitable organizations like footprintproject.org, they found another charitable organization called the Grassroots Aid Partnership that does disaster. They provide food. They have food trucks, right? So but they're based in Nashville. So this is a situation that they've been to Haiti, they've been to California, they've been all around the world. I mean, different places throughout the world for disasters. And now all of a sudden the disaster came to their front door. And they were blessed in that their warehouse where their trucks weren't affected, but they pulled the trucks out and they had no water. They had the food, they had all the food donated, but they had no water and no electricity to make the food. So Footprint started in Perry, and then they went up to Perry, Florida, and then they went up to Asheville, and they called us and they said, why don't you go deliver 400 gallons of water to Perry so the first responders have water, and then we're going to take the trailer up to Asheville. And so within 2 days, the trailer showed up in Asheville, and we were able to start making 600 meals a day, which ended up growing to 1,000 in downtown Nashville, across from the fire station. And then what I just described happened. And then they started bringing music in. They started bringing shower trailers in. They started bringing people to do massage. So now this whole community that was devastated had a place to go to not only get water, food, electricity, to charge their phones where they couldn't do it, to make a call to their family to know that they were safe, and then get a massage in the shower and some music to be able to dance and say, hey, it's all going to be all right. Now all of a sudden we have some hope.
So Jeff, let me back up a step and make sure I'm on the same page and understand exactly what you guys do. You have the technology to make a machine that is able to squeeze water out of the air, right?
Correct.
Okay, now, so let me ask you, the product that you make, you've talked about using it in disasters, having charities buy the product, but is there a version of this that a homeowner would purchase to install in their home so that their water supply just came from the atmosphere? Is that something that you do?
Without question. And that is the foundation. So I always say we're a for-profit company. We have to do good to do well.
Right.
If I can't pay my workers and do all of that, I can't help other people. So
Jeff, you don't
yeah,
have to defend making a profit to us. We understand that,
right.
that's essential. So, but I had never heard of this product. And so I'm fascinated by it. One of my questions about the product is, does it matter where I live? And I mean that to say, was this a product that if I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, where
Right.
the humidity is like almost 0%,
Mhm.
does your product work there?
We will make water. How much, again, like I said before, that no one creates water. We can only take the water out that's in the atmosphere. The great thing about water, though, the properties are so understood that based on temperature and humidity, we know how much water is in a cubic meter of air, and we know how much our machines can make. So to give you like parameters, if you are in a central air conditioned house where you're 74 degrees, 45% relative humidity, we're going to make about 4 3/4 gallons to 5 gallons a day in your home. Okay, so Scottsdale, Arizona, there are new, like Utah and the high elevations, the dry, we don't work efficiently and effectively. Now hooking it up to solar when you're not paying the electricity, you still need water. We're going to make water, but we generally tell people 35% relative humidity and higher, which is probably 90% of the area. But you're exactly right. The way that this world has gone and everything like that, why wouldn't you want to be sustainable? Why wouldn't you want to know where your water comes from? And why wouldn't you have a machine in your home to provide water for your family no matter what happens?
So I'm curious, like, how does the cost of this technology compare to the alternatives? Like, what, I mean, can you give me an idea of what,
Sure.
if my wife and I wanted to install this product in our home, and we live in Arkansas where we have plenty of humidity,
Plenty of humidity. That's what I
plenty
was
of
going to tell you,
humidity,
Jeff.
no problem no problem finding moisture in the atmosphere. But if we have a two-person household, and we do have company fairly often, but mostly it's just my wife and I that live there. If we wanted to install this product, uh, like where would we put it in the house,
Sure.
and how much would it cost to install it? And I guess to follow on that question, I guess because we have a reliable supply of electricity,
Yeah.
we'd probably plug it into the power system, right?
Correct.
So in thinking about the cost of it, part of it is, the cost of the acquisition, and then the cost of electricity, I suppose, that goes along. So just kind of give me, I know I've asked a lot of questions here. Just give me kind of an idea of how that works.
You're asking a lot of questions, but the point on questions and exactly the education that we need people to have to understand this technology and to show the value of it. Okay. So our machines retail our T12s that go into a home. They retail for $4,000. Okay. They've got so the first run of machines that we made 15 years ago are still running. So it's 12 to 15 years on the availability. So the machine uses about 650 watts. So about less than 3/4 of a kilowatt. So the average cost of a kilowatt is 11 cents in the United States. So, it could be 12 in Arkansas, or it could be 9, but the average overall cost of a kilowatt is 11 cents. So you're basically making water at, so say 5 gallons in a 24 hour, you're basically making water at about 10 cents to 20 cents a gallon, depending upon your cost and the humidity level. So again, look what you're paying for a liter of water, or what you're looking for those cases of water. And now let me also take some other things that are a benefit. We are also an air purifier because we have a MERV 13 air filter. So you're not only making your own water, but you're also purifying your air in your home. You're also taking the humidity out of the air, so you're not going to have mold growth or anything like that in your home, which you have. I mean, that's why dehumidifiers are used, correct? So you don't have that aspect to worry about. And you're also having the purest water because it starts pure. Now, our patent uses ozone to keep the water pure because no matter what, anytime you store water, it's perfect for bacteria growth. But, just to even show you our water, it almost looks carbonated, if you could see that. And we have more oxygen in our water because ozone's O3. So we try to mirror everything that Mother Nature does because nature does it right, right? Humans are the ones that mess everything up. So you're drinking the most oxygenated water, which means the only medical claim we make on that is that your cells are going to absorb it more easily because just on the basis of osmosis, the higher concentration of oxygen is going to go lower. So anything is going to cross the cell membrane easier with oxygen. And I know that so you're also lowering the humidity, which, why is dry heat in Scottsdale much easier to deal with than 90% and high humidity? Because the latent heat is in the humidity. So we have found that if you keep your thermostat at 74 degrees, you bring our T12 in, it lowers the humidity level. You're going to be able to bring it up to 76 degrees. Okay, because it feels cooler. You're taking the humidity out of the air. So now, you look at any electrical utility, they will tell you that each degree on your thermostat saves 10% because you're now taking a 5-ton AC unit and it's not working as much. So we actually believe that the electricity is a moot point because you're going to be able to move your thermostat and save money on your larger AC unit and things of that nature because RT12. So Stan, I absolutely love your question. I always say if no one's asking questions, they're not interested, but the points that you make are what we're trying to educate and why we're trying to get out there and say, this is what this machine does, and you really need it because with boil alerts and with everything that's happening, and then you have all these added benefits. And besides the fact you don't have to carry these cases of water from the store, recycle, use storage in your house for them. I mean, we think of convenience of just being able to grab a plastic bottle, but if you think of all the things that you have to do to have that plastic bottle in your home, it's not as convenient as you think. We're just creatures of habit, and we don't think that we have to carry it, we have to do all that, we have to remember. And then the other thing is in any of your disaster toolbox, what's the first thing that sells out in the stores? Water. You never have to worry about that. You can worry and check your batteries, your candles, all the other things, but you never have to worry about water again. So, those are the important things and that's our bread and butter that enables us. And we think that not only is it a product that does well for us, but we think it does well for the customer as well.
Okay, I got that. I do have one more question related to that. Is that if I wanted to buy the product, do I have a local? Is there like a local retailer? Do you sell this through retailers like where I might buy my kitchen stove or refrigerator? Are those the people that sell this, or do you just sell it directly from the factory?
We sell it directly, but we do have distributors throughout. We do affiliate programs, but we've been doing this so long that we really had to, it's so funny that, you're in Arkansas. So we had a couple that lived in Florida and they decided to move out to Arkansas. And they've had our machine for about 8 years. And she called up and again, so I say that the lifespan, but we'll have a pump that will go between 4 and 5 years because you just can't get a pump that's going to last for 12 years. So with our videos online and our support staff, she changed the pump herself. I mean, it literally is that simple. So, but again, exactly what you said, any HVAC company, it's pressures, but it's very easy for us to walk everyone through. I mean, we have them throughout the world. We're in 72 countries. We don't have distributors throughout there, but we're able to work with them and maintain them, or we have a 3-year warranty, parts and labor, and then 5 years on the HVAC system. So
In the short amount of time we have left, I want to shift gears and ask you, I hear what you're saying about having consumers use it and install it in their homes, but I hear stories about places in the world where children don't live as long because the water quality is bad. Have you found that people are using your product to change that narrative in those places?
yeah, well, probably one of our best is a village in Maka, Cameroon. So it's been about a 3-year journey from when we first went over there, and we were associated with a charity called the Jean-Philippe Gotcha Foundation that was based out of France or funded through French families, but they've been operating for 25 years, and a great charity as well by a forward thinker who saw atmospheric water generators, just like you did, exactly what you said, as solving a problem. And he runs a huge consulting firm, and he just felt that this technology would help his homeland. And so together we started planning, and we picked a village called Maka, about 1,000 people. They have between 4 and 7 water-related deaths a year. Of course, it's children. I mean, we have pictures of, children carrying children going down. So they have to walk 4.5 kilometers to the river Noun in order to get their water. And, if you or I saw that water, we would be like, that's not even close to a garden hose. That's, they wash in the same river. Someone could be washing upriver and someone could be down getting the water. So we developed a program. I had the blessing of working with World Vision, and again, we go by if someone's hungry, you give them a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach them to fish, they're going to eat for a lifetime. So we didn't only provide water, we provide the concept of a water hub where we could have educational rooms, because again, nature abhors a vacuum. So we're now giving 4 hours a day back to the mothers who are the ones who go and get this water. What are you filling it with, right? And what's your theory of change? Because again, if you're looking, John Felice Gotcha put the school in there. You think that's great, but they're like, we're having problems getting the kids into the school to educate them because they're the workers in the field, right? So you got to give them skills. You got to show them that over generational curses are real, generational blessings are real, right? So not only, and what we found in as far as charity, if you give someone something they don't value as much as you make them a part of it. So everyone in the village helped to build this water hub. My team, who's been building with me, who are now owners through their hard work over the years, just came back. We got L'Oreal Woman Sustainability Fund to donate 350,000 to this, another family office to donate 150,000, and we're doing 1,000 gallons a day, all on solar, internet, giving educational programs so they could have U.S. diplomas. It is a total change of giving them hope. And I'll never forget that, and Jamie will talk about it. He's here with me now. He just came in from the factory and he's been incredible. He's 4 times he's been over to Africa building and setting this up. And when we went over there, they took 3 days. We never even went and saw the village. And they said that they brought us over there, and their facility is the John Felice Gotcha. They teach the history. They have programs. And for 3 days, we're like, we haven't even gone to see the village. And they said, no, we wanted to meet and know you. We wanted to make sure you had the same heart that we did, whether we were going to work with you. In that time, one of the board members who's from France, who came down for all of this, she had a special young man that whenever she comes down, she brings him to the Jean Felice Gotcha village, and he stays with her. And we were having dinner, and he looked at me and he said, "Are you going to be like the German company that drilled a well, and when the well started collapsing on itself, forgot about us and left us without water?" Now, this 8-year-old, his 15-year-old brother died of a water-related disease. So when you have a little kid looking at you and asking you that question, and I say it all the time, it's resiliency, it's having the right partners, because these projects are not easy. Anyone that says, oh, it's going to be easy and we just build it, you're going to overcome things. You're dealing with different cultures, you're dealing with customs, you're dealing with different things. You have to have partners, and we've been blessed over the years to develop a team. And turning the tap on, we did rainwater capture, we reworked the well, we used our ozone purification on that, and we're providing 1,000 gallons of water for that village, as well as electricity, as well as education, and as well as training them in alternate energy that's going to give them the skill that they can grow with as the needs in Africa grow. So,
is there data on the impact that you've had?
We just turned it on, but yes, there is, again, we have all videotaped. We have all of the partners. For me, to have to go and learn and realize you have to go sit with the king of the region, so Cameroon, each section is by a king. We don't think about any of this. And the impact has been just even them being part of building something and building that hub, okay, to go over and see a kid with a wheel and a stick and that's his toy, but the joy that's coming out of him, it's unbelievable. And what you guys do with building legacy, that to me is what's so important.
Yeah, that's why we're having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the work that you're doing and just love the impact that it's having on the environment and then on individuals and communities as well. So that's incredible. Before we run out of time, Jeff, tell us a little bit about if people are interested in either purchasing one of these machines for home or business or, residential use, or if they're interested in helping you guys on your mission to be a water warrior, what's the best way for them to get connected?
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. So our website is altdwater.com. And on there you can sign up for our newsletter. It brings you up to date on all the various projects that we're doing. It will keep you updated on Africa, keep you updated on our disaster relief. We are actually upgrading the website this week with a huge Shopify, being able to get all different products. We're going to start selling water bottles where 10% of that is going to be going to charities that are helping in some way or another. We are also starting a fundraiser for one of the charities, footprintproject.org, who has just done great things. And then we recently put another program together for corporations where they can lease to own and then donate it, so they have 100% pre-tax write-off because of the leasing the equipment, have a dollar buyout on disaster relief trailers after 5 years. And so, the leasing company came on and said, we want to be a part of this. This makes all the sense in the world in what you're doing. So it's exciting to see it's almost like, there's no coincidences with God. This is to me, a God appointment with all the stuff that we've put together. It really is perfect timing. And then the other thing, I understand there's so many different people, but just the simplicity of going to our Facebook or our Instagram and liking us and following us. That allows the videos that we put up to get in an algorithm so more people can see it, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. I mean, there's such great videos in there of, what we've done in Maca and the kids and stuff like that. So even just if you don't have the financial resources or you need help, those are the things. Just by clicking a button and say, I want to subscribe to something like that, that's going to help us get the word out. And the same thing with you, Stan, and you, Katie. Thank you so much for giving me a platform to talk about, it seems overpowering to say, I want to help change the world, but trust me, if you change the world around you, it's going to, if it's sustainable and makes sense, it will grow. So just concentrate on what you can do and don't let all the noise tell you what you can't do.
That is the perfect summary. And we hope that all of our listeners really listen to Jeff's encouragement on that. Look at the ways you can impact your own community and get started there. We want to thank everybody for listening. This has been the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast with your hosts, Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. And our guest today was Jeff Szur. And to connect with Jeff and find out more about Altitude Water, you can visit altitudewater.com. That's altdwater.com. And you can also follow Altitude on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Jeff, thanks again so much for being on the show. We really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well. And thank you for all that you do for the families and being able to pass things on, the generational blessings that you allow to continue. That's just awesome. I'm sure you wake up every morning and know that you've helped people. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Your Life, Your Legacy podcast with Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To find out more about Stan and Katie Beth, go to pinnaclelegacylaw.com. You can also find links in the show notes.